Do not waste your life. I am saying this with an urgency that has taken me 3 decades to earn. An urgency born from watching countless good people quietly trade away the one thing they can never, ever get back: their time. It's a transaction that happens in silence, in the small, unexamined moments of an ordinary day, but its consequences are monumental. It took me 30 years of stumbling, building, and breaking things to fully grasp a single, powerful truth I will share with you by the end of this message. It's something that isn't said out loud at dinner parties or in corporate boardrooms. It is rarely spoken, but once you understand it, it changes absolutely everything. If you skip even one part of what I am about to share, you will not see the full picture. The insights I'm about to reveal are not a collection of disconnected tips. They are a sequence, a progression of understanding. Each one builds upon the last, and the final one is the keystone that holds the entire structure together. Stay with me until the very end, because this isn't just about information, it's about transformation. This is the one truth that finally makes sense of why some people break through and win, while others, often just as talented and hardworking, quietly fade away without ever living the life they could have lived. Before we dive in, I want to feel the presence of everyone who is here today. Where are you listening from? What city, what state, what corner of the country are you in right now? Drop it in the comments below. I want to see how many of us, from California to Maine, from Texas to Montana, are gathering here for this conversation. This message isn't for one person, it's for all of us. And please, if you haven't yet, take a moment to subscribe to this channel, hit that like button, and turn on the notification bell. I don't want you to just hear this message once. I want you to have the tools to live by it, and that starts with staying connected. Let's begin. The first lesson is about the very fabric of our existence. We've all been sold a comforting lie. The lie is that time is the great equalizer. We're told that every single person, from the billionaire in his Manhattan penthouse to the farmer in rural Nebraska, gets the same 24 hours in a day. Mathematically, that statement is true, but in the reality of human experience, it is a profound illusion. Time is not equal for everyone. A year in the life of a 20-year-old is a universe away from a year in the life of a 65-year-old. The older you become, the faster the river of time flows, and you already know this. You feel it deep in your bones. I want you to perform a simple thought experiment. Close your eyes for a second and remember a summer from your childhood. Feel the endless expanse of those June, July, and August days. They stretched on like a vast, sun-drenched highway with no end in sight. A single summer felt like a lifetime. Now, compare that feeling to the last year of your adult life. How quickly did it pass? It felt like you blinked, didn't it? Thanksgiving was just yesterday, and suddenly the holidays are upon us again. This isn't a trick of your imagination. It's a well-documented psychological phenomenon. Research into our perception of time shows that it dramatically accelerates as we age. This is because each new unit of time, a day, a month, a year, represents an ever smaller percentage of the total life we have already lived. For a 10-year-old, 1 year is a staggering 10% of their entire existence. For a 60-year-old, it's a mere 1.6%. The years feel faster because, relative to our experience, they are. Herein lies the hidden danger, the subtle trap that ensnares so many. Because time feels like it's slipping away more quickly, many people, especially those in their 50s, 60s, and beyond, stop starting new things. A quiet, insidious belief takes root in their minds. It's too late. They stop believing they can launch that business at 55, write that novel at 65, or learn that new language at 75. They look at the road ahead and see a finish line, not a starting line. This is one of the most destructive lies our culture has ever told. I've seen this tragedy play out in communities all across America. I think of a man I met in Scottsdale, Arizona, a brilliant accountant who retired at 62, full of dreams for his golden years. At first, he traveled, he golfed, he rested. But slowly, imperceptibly, he stopped learning. He stopped setting ambitious goals. He stopped believing that tomorrow could be fundamentally different from today. 5 years later, he looked in the mirror, a man with his health and his wealth, and wondered with a hollow ache where it all went. The truth is, it's never too late, unless you stop moving. Time doesn't just contract, it can also expand. When you fill your days with purpose, with learning, with a mission that pulls you out of bed in the morning, time itself seems to slow down and bend to your will. I want you to imagine, right now, what you would attempt if you truly believed that age was not a barrier. What project, what calling, what grand adventure would you pursue if you knew with absolute certainty that you still had the time to make a profound impact? Write it in the comments below. Tell me the city you're listening from and the dream you've put on the shelf. Let's build a conversation of resurrected possibilities right here, because your answer might be the very spark that ignites the hope in someone else reading these words. Let me offer you something intensely practical. Most people drift through their lives because they never capture their time on paper. Their intentions are formless, like vapor. One of the simplest yet most transformative tools I've ever come across is what I call the 31-day daily high-impact planner. This isn't about creating a punishing to-do list. It's about forcing you to plan your day with intention, to take those fleeting, precious hours and give them shape and direction. It's the difference between being a passenger on a ship caught in the currents and being the captain, hand firmly on the wheel, charting a course. Think of it as designing your next 31 days. Ask yourself this powerful question. If I only had 31 days left on this earth, how would I spend them? Write it down. This single exercise can alter the entire course of your year. Over the last 3 decades, I've dedicated myself to observing the hidden patterns in business, technology, and human behavior. And here is what almost nobody says out loud. Most people do not fail because they lacked opportunity. They fail because they wasted their most valuable, non-renewable currency, time, without ever realizing it was slipping through their fingers. This is why I am telling you today, with every fiber of my being, to stop waiting for the right time. The right time is a myth. It will never come. The only time you will ever truly have is the moment you are in right now. But this is just the first lesson, the foundation. Because even if you learn to master your time, there is another, more insidious trap waiting for you. This next one is far more dangerous than wasted hours on a clock. It's the invisible weight holding most people back every single day, even when they think they're moving forward. So don't go anywhere, stay with me, because I am about to explain this hidden trap and show you how it quietly destroys more lives than any other force I have ever witnessed. And remember, the fourth lesson, the one I will share at the very end, is the culmination of it all. It's the truth that took me 30 years to finally see, and it may be the single insight that saves you from wasting the incredible life you still have left to live. I have a question for you as we move forward. What dream have you delayed because you thought it was too late? Be honest with yourself and with us. Write it in the comments. And if you're getting value from this message right now, please tap the like button so that the algorithm knows to share this with others who need to hear it too. Listen closely. If you thought the greatest danger to your life was simply wasted time, you are only halfway awake. There is something far more perilous, something almost entirely invisible. It doesn't show up on your calendar. It doesn't appear as a line item in your bank account. It hides in plain sight, silently shaping your days, your thoughts, and your most critical decisions. And yet, almost no one ever talks about it. I have personally watched thousands of people, brilliant, capable individuals, full of untapped potential, lose entire decades of their lives to this hidden force. By the time they finally recognize its grip, the damage is done, and the regret is profound. This is why I had to share this with you today. This message found you for a reason, because once you see this invisible force, you can never unsee it. Once your eyes are open to it, you begin the process of taking your power back. Stay with me. This isn't just another self-help idea. This is the fundamental truth that keeps good people playing small, that prevents them from ever stepping into the life they were created to live. And it is quietly at work in millions of American homes right now, at this very moment. The second lesson is what I call the silent architecture of influence. Here is the hidden truth. Most of the decisions you believe you are making freely are, in fact, not entirely yours. They are being subtly and invisibly shaped by the environment you allow yourself to live in, the people you consistently listen to, and the digital and physical patterns you have repeated for years without ever questioning them. This goes far beyond simple advertising or media bias. It's about the way your daily habits are constructed around you, like invisible scaffolding, guiding your choices before you even make them. If you wake up in the morning and the very first thing you do is reach for your phone to check social media or the news, you have already stepped inside someone else's design for your day. Your first thoughts are not your own. They are a reaction to an algorithm's priorities. If you spend your evenings watching the same kind of cable news that reinforces your fears and biases, you are being guided by someone else's narrative for the world. If you surround yourself with friends and family who have quietly, perhaps sadly, given up on their own dreams, you are inhaling their resignation with every conversation. It becomes the very air you breathe. This is the silent architecture of influence, and it is more powerful than willpower. In every city I visit across this country, I see its undeniable effects. I see a woman in Chicago, a woman with an incredible, God-given creative ability, who spends her most productive morning hours watching daytime television shows that drain her energy and fill her mind with trivialities. I see a retired engineer in Austin, Texas, a man with a lifetime of experience and wisdom to share, who spends 6 hours a day scrolling through political arguments online, convinced he is staying informed, when in reality he is slowly losing his will to act, to build, to create. I see a small business owner in Florida, still young at heart at 68, who stops sharing his innovative ideas because his golfing buddies all tell him, "You should be slowing down, not speeding up. It's too late for all that." This is how the architecture works. It's not through overt force, but through quiet, relentless repetition until its patterns become your default settings. This message is urgent because most people over the age of 50 are entering what should be the most powerful and impactful decade of their lives without ever realizing it. These are the years when wisdom, experience, and personal networks finally converge to create a formidable force for good. But if the silent architecture surrounding you is built from distraction, fear, and the soft whisper of resignation, you will waste your most potent decade asleep at the wheel. And here's the stark truth. No one on television, no algorithm on your social media feed, no headline in the news will ever tell you this. Why? Because your distraction is profitable. Your resignation is predictable. But a person who wakes up, a man or a woman who consciously reclaims their environment, their inputs, and their influences, that person becomes unstoppable. That person becomes a leader. That person becomes a threat to the status quo. So I want you to pause for a moment, right here, and ask yourself a brutally honest question. Who or what is shaping my thoughts today? Name it. Acknowledge it. Write it down on a piece of paper if you have to. Then come back and tell me in the comments. Tell me the city you're from and the single biggest influence you know you need to change. Don't just be a passive listener to this video. Speak up. Your simple comment, your declaration might be the very permission another viewer needs to read to make a change in their own life. You can even write something as simple as, "I see it now," or "I am breaking the pattern." Drop those words in the comments if this is connecting with you on a deep level. This is where that 31-day daily high-impact planner I mentioned earlier evolves into something more than just a planner. It becomes your daily shield. It becomes your architectural blueprint. When you sit down each morning before the world has a chance to impose its agenda on you, and you deliberately decide what you will feed your mind, what actions you will take, and, just as importantly, what you will consciously ignore, you begin to dismantle the invisible scaffolding that has been built around you for years. It isn't a complicated process. It's a simple, sacred act of reclaiming your day before the world claims it from you. Even if you only commit to this for 31 days, you will begin to see the patterns break. And once you see them, you will wonder how you ever lived without this awareness. I'll tell you something very few people know. Most of the incredible breakthroughs you admire in human history, the inventions, the businesses, the social movements, did not come from isolated bursts of genius. They came from ordinary people who finally found the courage to step outside the silent architecture of influence and build their own. They curated their own inputs, formed their own mastermind groups, and created their own environments dedicated to growth, not stagnation. That is the real hidden pattern. Transformation happens not by waiting for inspiration, but by rebuilding the structures around you so they serve your future instead of chaining you to your past. But there's more, because even if you reclaim your time and redesign your environment, there is another, even deeper layer that almost no one talks about. This layer is where your moment-to-moment decisions and your core identity collide. It's the battleground where people either rise into their calling or quietly shrink away into a life of what-ifs. And it's also where faith, prayer, and a deep alignment with God begin to fundamentally change the trajectory of a person's life. I'll reveal that third lesson in just a moment, but for now, write this phrase down. Environment first, decision second, identity third. This simple sequence could rescue you from decades of repeating someone else's plan for your life. Before we continue, tell me in the comments below, what is the one influence, a person, a habit, a media source that you know you need to change? Write it down, even if it's just one word, even if you just write, "I'm ready." The simple act of declaring it begins the process of changing it. And stay with me, because at the end of this message, I am going to share the most important lesson of all, the one it took me 30 years of my own life to fully realize. It's a truth so powerful, so hidden, and so rarely spoken that once you grasp it, you will never see your life, your past, or your future in the same way again. What I am about to tell you now is not only the turning point in my own understanding, it is the turning point for anyone who finally decides they are done living a life of quiet desperation. The first two truths we've explored, the malleable nature of time and the silent architecture of our environment, are dangerous enough on their own. But there is a deeper layer, a foundational level of our being, where most people lose their life's greatest power without even knowing a battle was fought. This is the layer where people either rise into their purpose or vanish into a fog of regret. If you have ever felt like you are doing everything right, managing your time, trying to be positive, but you still feel stuck in the same place, this is why. If you've ever wondered why the same destructive patterns keep returning to your life, even after you've sworn to change, this is the reason. And almost no one is talking about it. Stay with me. Do not miss this part. As you listen, I want you to answer this question in the comments below. What is one pattern in your life that keeps repeating itself? A pattern you know you must finally break. It could be one word: health, fear, procrastination, money. The act of writing it down is the first step in reclaiming your power over it. This brings us to lesson 3, the war between your identity and your decisions. Here is the hidden truth that governs human action. Your daily decisions are not just isolated choices. They are a direct reflection of your core identity. Most people try to change their lives by changing their decisions. They start new diets, they commit to new business plans, they promise to start new habits. But if their identity, the fundamental way they see themselves in the world, remains the same, the old patterns will always inevitably win. Think about it this way. A person who, deep down, sees themselves as someone who always struggles financially will find a way to sabotage their own success, even when a golden opportunity lands in their lap. A person who has quietly adopted the identity of "I'm too old to learn new things" will unconsciously reject any new information or opportunity that challenges that belief, even if it's the very thing they have been praying for. This is the reason why so many people make bold New Year's resolutions in January, full of fire and determination, only to find themselves back in the same old habits by February. They attempted to change the decision, but they never went deeper to change the identity that was generating that decision. You cannot permanently live a life that is inconsistent with the story you tell yourself about who you are. This is not some abstract psychological theory. I have seen its power firsthand, all across America, in the lives of ordinary people making extraordinary changes. I met a retired nurse in Raleigh, North Carolina, who for years saw herself as just surviving through her retirement. The moment she shifted her identity to a mentor for the next generation of nurses, her entire reality changed. Opportunities to speak, to consult, to guide young people seemed to appear out of nowhere. I knew a former factory worker in Dayton, Ohio, who lost his job in his late 50s. He could have adopted the identity of unemployed and forgotten. Instead, he chose a new one, an entrepreneur in training. An amputire training. Within 18 months, he had built a small but thriving local delivery service. His life looked completely different, not because his circumstances changed first, but because his identity did. This is urgent because your identity is not a neutral, passive thing. If you do not consciously and deliberately shape it, it will be shaped for you. By your past mistakes, by the limiting opinions of others, by the subtle messages in advertising that tell you you're not enough. Right now, as you sit here listening to my voice, there is a silent story running in the background of your mind. A story that is telling you who you are, what you are capable of, and what you deserve. That subconscious story is determining your future more than any of your conscious actions. Most people will go to their graves without ever questioning that story. They will live and die within the confines of a narrative they never chose. That is why I had to speak this out loud today, because once you see the story, you can no longer pretend you didn't know you were the author. I want you to pause right now and make a declaration in the comments. Write, "I choose my story," or "I reclaim my identity." Those simple words do something powerful. They break the silence. They send a signal to your own subconscious mind that you are awake and in command. And seeing others write their own declarations in this community may be the very push that someone else needs to see today to believe that they can do it too. This is where the 31-day daily high-impact planner transforms yet again. It's no longer just a schedule or a shield. It becomes a mirror. Each morning when you open it, I want you to do more than just write down your tasks. At the very top of the page, before anything else, I want you to write a single sentence about the identity you are stepping into. I am a healthy and energetic leader. I am a wise and patient mentor. I am a builder of solutions and a creator of value. Do this for 31 consecutive days and watch what happens. Watch how your decisions throughout the day begin to magically align with your new chosen identity. This isn't just positive thinking. This is a form of neurological rewiring. Your brain, specifically a part of it known as the reticular activating system, begins to actively seek out evidence in your environment to confirm the identity you are declaring. As that identity strengthens, the decisions that match it become effortless and automatic. Let me give you a glimpse of something almost no one discusses publicly. There are powerful structures in our society, both visible and invisible, that benefit greatly when you keep your old limited identity. They benefit when you see yourself as small, as a powerless consumer, as someone who is past their prime. They benefit when you keep scrolling, keep doubting, and keep postponing your greatness. Because a person with a weak, undefined identity is predictable. But a person with a strong, self-defined identity becomes a force of nature. They cannot be easily sold to. They cannot be easily manipulated. They begin to act, build, lead, and pray with a different kind of authority. This is why the greatest and most profound shift of all is not in changing what you do, but in changing who you believe you are. Once you make that internal shift, your decisions, your environment, and your use of time begin to serve your destiny instead of stealing it. Right now, comment below, "I am awake," if you are ready to reclaim your identity. Or write, "I am rewriting my story." These are not just words for a comment section. They are declarations of a new life. They are a signal to your own soul that you are stepping into the future you were created for. And stay with me, because what I am about to share is the final lesson, the most important one, the one it took me 30 long years to fully understand. This lesson is so rarely spoken, so deeply hidden, and so critically urgent that it will explain exactly why this video found you, on this day, at this moment in your life. It is the missing piece that no one else will tell you. It is the key that ties all the other lessons together, and once you hear it, you will never see your life the same way again. What I am about to reveal to you is the single most important realization of my entire life. 30 years of hard-won lessons, of wins and losses, of breakthroughs and breakdowns have all led to this singular point. Everything I have shared with you up to now has just been the path leading to this one ultimate truth. This is the truth that is intentionally hidden from the mainstream media, the truth that no one ever says out loud because it would change too much if people really, truly understood its power. It is the truth that can set you free at any age, in any season of your life. And its urgency cannot be overstated. If you are listening to my voice right now, it is not an accident. This message found you for a purpose. So ask yourself, why did this specific video show up in my feed today? Why now, at this juncture in my life? Drop your immediate gut-level answer in the comments. Even a few words. This is my sign. This is my wake-up call. This is what I needed to hear. Your words might be the lifeline that someone else, scrolling right beside you, desperately needs to see. The fourth and ultimate truth is this: you become what you consistently honor. Here is what almost no one in the world will ever tell you. Your life is not just shaped by your habits. It's not even fully shaped by your identity alone. Your life, your destiny, and your legacy are ultimately shaped by what you choose to honor, what you consistently give your most precious resources to, your attention, your respect, your time, your energy, and your emotion. Most people, without ever realizing it, unconsciously honor fear. They honor worry. They honor distraction. They honor the approval of other people. They spend their days feeding these things with their focus, and then they wonder why their lives feel small, anxious, and unfulfilled. But every extraordinary person you have ever admired, every life that has truly mattered in the grand tapestry of history, had one thing in common. At some point, they made a conscious shift in what they honored. They began to honor wisdom instead of noise. They began to growth instead of comfort. They began to honor their future potential instead of the mistakes of their past. And because of that fundamental shift, Their future began to honor them back. I want you to ask yourself right now, what are you currently honoring without even realizing it? Is it the 24-hour news cycle that leaves you feeling drained and powerless? Is it a daily routine that numbs your spirit and keeps you from dreaming? Is it that persistent inner voice of self-doubt that says, "I can't"? Comment below with one thing you know you have been honoring that no longer serves your highest good. Then, in that same comment, declare one thing you are ready to start honoring today. Use powerful, declarative words like, "I choose growth," or "I honor wisdom," or "I honor my calling." Let others see your shift so they can be inspired to make their own. There is a hidden pattern that quietly decides the direction of whole communities and even entire generations. Those who control your attention ultimately control your future. The media conglomerates will never tell you this because their entire business model thrives on your scattered attention. As long as you stay stuck honoring fear, division, and trivial noise, your life remains predictable and manageable. But the very moment you take back the sacred act of honor and you place it on what truly matters, your purpose, your family, your health, your creator, everything begins to shift. I have seen this happen for seniors in their 70s and 80s who felt they were at the end of their usefulness, only to find new purpose when they started honoring their accumulated wisdom. I've seen it happen for young people in their 20s who thought they had no chance in a difficult economy, only to see their lives transform when they started honoring discipline and skill building over instant gratification. We are living in an age where distractions have become weaponized, where entire industries with trillion-dollar valuations profit when you are overwhelmed, divided, and unfocused. The moment you consciously shift what you honor, you become unpredictable to their systems. You become powerful. You become free. That is why no one talks about this simple, profound truth. This is also the ultimate purpose behind the 31-day Daily High Impact Planner. It's not designed to be another to-do list. It is a daily practice of honor. Each morning, when you open its pages, you are making a conscious, deliberate choice about what you will honor for the next 24 hours. Will it be the endless stream of digital noise, or will it be your unique calling? Use it, write in it, let it become the physical anchor for your focus. This is how you build a life that, in turn, honors you back with peace, prosperity, and fulfillment. Imagine yourself 1 year from today. Imagine you have spent the last 365 days fully shifting what you honor. Picture the person you have become. Feel the peace you now feel, the influence you now carry, the vibrant energy you wake up with every single morning. How would your relationships have changed? How would your finances look? Who would you see looking back at you in the mirror? Comment below with your vision for that person. Paint it for us in one word: freedom, strength, legacy, impact. Do not underestimate the power of what happens when you write that vision down, even in a simple comment section. That small action plants a seed in your own mind, and when others see your vision, they will be drawn to that light. That is how a movement begins, quietly, with one declaration at a time. I have given you the deepest truth I have ever learned. But there is so much more to this realization than I can possibly share in one sitting. There are layers to this wisdom, hidden strategies, patterns, and practices that have been buried for decades. In my next message, I am going to open up about something almost no one dares to talk about publicly. So, if you haven't already, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on that notification bell so you do not miss it when it drops. What we are talking about here is not mere motivation. This is about survival, the survival of your soul, your future, and your legacy. No one else is telling you this, but you are hearing it now for a reason. This is your time. This is your wake-up call. The world may not be ready for what's coming next, but you will be. Comment below, "I'm ready," or "I will honor what matters." Let your voice join with the thousands of others who are waking up right now, all across this nation and around the world. Because together, we are building a new pattern, a new architecture, one that cannot be ignored or hidden any longer. Check my playlists for more videos on these topics, and I will see you in the next one.